Stovetop Moka Pot. In 1933, an Italian engineer named Alfonso Bialetti designed a small octagonal pot that would quietly become one of the most recognizable objects in modern kitchen history. It works by building steam pressure on a stovetop, pushing hot water upward through coffee grounds and into a small upper chamber. The coffee it produces is bold, concentrated, and slightly rough around the edges. Nothing like the polished espresso you'd get in a cafe, but that's never really been the point. In many Italian households, the same moka pot has been used every morning for decades, with coffee stains permanently baked into the metal. Bialetti's son later turned it into a global brand, but the design itself has barely changed in 90 years. Drip coffee machine. The automatic drip machine transformed coffee from a ritual into a routine. Hot water heats internally and passes slowly through ground coffee sitting in a paper or metal filter, dripping into a carafe below. The result is smooth, mild, and easy to drink in large amounts, which is exactly why it became the dominant coffee maker in American households during the second half of the 20th century. The paper filter itself was invented in 1908 by a German woman named Melita Benz, who was tired of bitter, grainy coffee and punched holes in a tin can using her son's blotting paper. The automatic machine followed decades later, and between the two of them, they quietly changed how most of the world starts its morning. Cold brew coffee maker. Cold brew is made by steeping coffee grounds in cold water for anywhere between 12 and 24 hours, with no heat involved at all. The result is smoother, sweeter, and far less acidic than anything brewed with hot water, a difference that genuinely surprises most people the first time they try it side by side. Versions of cold brew date back centuries, with early slow drip methods traced to 17th century Japan. During the 2000s, it went from a specialty cafe curiosity to something sold in gas stations. And by the middle of the decade, some bars were serving it straight from beer taps like a craft IPA. The brewing container itself is usually simple. Most of the work is just time. Steam espresso machine. Before pump machines became affordable for home use, steam espresso machines gave millions of people their first taste of espresso-style coffee outside a cafe. They work by building steam pressure inside a sealed boiler and forcing it through coffee grounds without any electric pump involved. The coffee lands somewhere between strong drip coffee and true espresso, dark and intense, but without the thick crema most people associate with the real thing. The technology traces back to late 19th century Italy, where inventors like Angelo Moriondo and Luigi Bizzarra were among the first to experiment with pressure-based brewing. Steam machines are rarely the first choice of serious coffee drinkers, but for a long time they were the only choice. Siphon coffee maker. The siphon brewer looks more like a chemistry experiment than a kitchen appliance. Two glass chambers sit stacked on top of each other, and the brewing process uses vapor pressure and vacuum suction to pull water up through the coffee and back down again. What comes out is remarkably clean and delicate, a cup that highlights the more subtle aromatic qualities of the bean rather than just its strength. The design dates back to the 1800s and was popular in Europe before finding a particularly devoted following in Japan, where some coffee bars treat siphon brewing as a performance done directly in front of customers. Watching one work is almost reason enough to own it. Capsule espresso machine. Nespresso introduced the modern capsule system during the 1980s, originally targeting offices before quietly expanding into millions of home kitchens. The idea is straightforward. Sealed pods hold pre-portioned coffee, the machine does everything else, and the result is consistent every single time. George Clooney's long-running advertisements turned it into a symbol of effortless sophistication, which probably helped more than any engineering improvement ever could. The coffee is balanced and reliable, though serious espresso enthusiasts tend to find it a little too controlled and a little too convenient to take seriously. The ongoing cost of the pods is something most people only start calculating after they've already bought the machine. Bean-to-cup coffee machine. Bean-to-cup machines grind fresh coffee beans internally seconds before brewing, which means every cup starts from scratch. The difference in freshness compared to pre-ground coffee is real and noticeable, especially for people who have been drinking capsule coffee for years. These machines became increasingly capable during the 1990s as automation improved and espresso culture spread well beyond Italy. In many European offices, they run almost continuously throughout the day, quietly producing hundreds of coffees without anyone giving much thought to what's actually happening inside. The complexity hidden beneath the simple push of a button is genuinely remarkable. Pump espresso machine. The pump espresso machine is the closest most people will get to replicating a proper cafe espresso at home. An electric pump forces hot water through finely ground coffee at around 9 bars of pressure, producing a small concentrated shot topped with the thick golden crema that became the defining image of modern espresso culture. The technology that made this possible at scale came largely from Italian company Faima, whose E61 machine in 1961 became one of the most influential coffee machines ever built. Experienced baristas can often judge the quality of an extraction just by the sound the machine makes, a skill that takes years and says a lot about how seriously some people take this. Super automatic espresso machine. Super automatic machines handle everything: grinding, tamping, brewing, and often milk steaming with a single button press. The coffee is smooth and consistent in a way that requires almost no skill or attention from whoever is making it. Luxury hotels favor them because they can produce hundreds of cappuccinos a day without needing a trained barista anywhere nearby. Companies like Jura built their entire reputation on this category during the 1990s, pushing automation further with each generation. The trade-off is control. What you gain in convenience, you lose in the ability to adjust and experiment, which for some people is the whole point of making espresso at home. Semi-automatic espresso machine. Semi-automatic machines handle water pressure and temperature automatically, but leave the extraction timing entirely in the hands of the person making the coffee. That might sound like a small detail, but a difference of just a few seconds can completely change what ends up in the cup. More bitter, more sour, more sweet, more flat. It is the machine of choice for most serious home baristas, precisely because of that control. And the learning curve is part of the appeal rather than a drawback. The category evolved directly from pump technology, developed in mid-20th century Italy, and remains the format most associated with specialty coffee culture today. Automatic espresso machine. Automatic machines work almost identically to semi-automatic ones, but they stop the extraction automatically once a preset volume of water has passed through. It removes one variable from the process, which makes the results more consistent and the machine more forgiving for everyday use. During the espresso boom of the 1990s, automatic machines helped bring cafe-quality coffee into ordinary kitchens without requiring people to learn much about the process behind it. The difference between automatic and semi-automatic is subtle enough that many people never notice it, but for those who do, it tends to become a genuine preference in one direction or the other. Manual lever espresso machine. Manual lever machines have no electric pump. The pressure needed to pull a shot of espresso comes entirely from the person operating it, usually by pulling a spring-loaded lever that builds and releases tension through the coffee puck. The espresso produced is often especially syrupy and textured, with a softer pressure curve that some enthusiasts believe produces a noticeably different and more nuanced result. Achille Gaggia introduced spring lever technology in the 1940s, and it became the first method capable of producing real crema. Today, lever machines occupy a similar space to mechanical watches, slower, more demanding, and collected as much for what they represent as for what they do. Commercial multi-group espresso machine. Commercial multi-group machines are built for volume. Multiple brewing heads allow several baristas to pull shots simultaneously during the busiest hours of a cafe day, and the internal systems are engineered to stay stable under non-stop use that would destroy a home machine within weeks. A well-built commercial machine from a manufacturer like La Marzocco can handle anywhere between 200 and 1,000 cups a day, depending on configuration. And with basic daily maintenance that takes under 15 minutes, the same machine can run reliably for 10 to 20 years. Many cafes are still using La Marzocco machines from the 1990s. In many specialty cafes, the machine sits deliberately front and center, not hidden in a back kitchen, but displayed like a centerpiece, because in a serious coffee shop, it essentially is one. These machines typically start around $6,000 and can climb well past $20,000 for custom configurations. But spread across a decade of daily service, the math starts to make sense. Luxury custom espresso machine. At the far end of the espresso world sit machines that are built more like luxury objects than kitchen appliances. Handcrafted materials, fully custom engineering, and finishes that take months to complete push some of these machines past $30,000 or even $40,000, more than many people pay for a car. Companies like Kees van der Westen build each machine almost entirely by hand, with internal components machined to tolerances you'd normally associate with aerospace engineering. They can handle the same punishing volume as any commercial machine, but that's almost beside the point. Some are commissioned by celebrity chefs or elite cafes, as much for their presence in a room as for what they actually brew. The category emerged as specialty coffee culture matured into a luxury market during the 2000s and 2010s, attracting the same kind of attention as fine watchmaking or custom automotive work. At that price, the coffee they produce can be exceptional, but the machine itself has long since become the point.